Hey guys, do you feel that you haven't got enough time for hobby because you're just too busy? Or perhaps you can't start a project or even finish a project? Maybe you struggle to get motivated because, well, you're just too busy. Well, you're in luck because today I'm going to give you my top 5 tips on how to still be productive and enjoy the hobby even if you are too busy. Now, for some time, I have seen my friends within the wargaming community struggle with just being too busy for quite some time, and whether that's work related or whether that's family commitments, having young children, there are many of us who are in that age category where life is busy and we don't always have time to do hobby related activities. For myself, over the last 4 years, I've had a young child. I've had family commitments and I've had work, and all of those things have got in the way of hobby time. And I understand, as many of us do, that work and life do have to take priority from time to time. But it is so important for us to have time for our hobby and for ourselves, for our mental health, if for nothing else. So over the last 4 years, I've developed these 5 tips which I use to be able to continue with my hobby. I have in that time written a set of War Games rules and got them published and continued to develop my YouTube channel and see it continue to grow. So what are these 5 tips? Well, let's go through them now. Tip number 1, plan ahead. For me, I need to know what I have to do to achieve my goal of completing a project, so that when I do get a window of opportunity, whether that might be 10 minutes, an hour, maybe even 2 if I'm lucky, I need to know what I'm going to be doing in that time so that I can make the most of that time. And that is how I continue to stay productive even when I don't have a lot of time. And that really is key to getting projects done. Tip 2. When planning a project, make sure to break it up into small chunks. Every journey is made up of many steps. And so just like that journey, you can take a War Games project and you can make it into many steps. And each of those little steps are doable in a small amount of time. So if you haven't got much time, try to find a small step that you can get done in that amount of time. So for example, when I've been doing my 2 mil Lord of the Rings, when I've got all my bases prepped ready for priming, all I need is a 5-minute window and I can get out that door into the back garden and prime those bases. And it's only taken me 5 minutes and I'm one step closer to completing that project. Tip 3, make sure you set yourself achievable goals. Now this might be at the start of the project when you're thinking about what the project's going to look like. Make sure it's achievable for the amount of time that you have to put into this project. You might want to get this project completed in 2 or 3 months and get it on the table. So make sure that what you set yourself for those 2 or 3 months is achievable based on how much time you'll have on a daily, weekly basis. But also, when you're thinking about how much time you have, maybe in a day or a week, to do some hobby activities, again, set yourself achievable goals. If you've got an hour, don't set yourself something that might take you 2 or 3 hours. Make sure that you can achieve your goals so that you don't get demotivated, but instead those endorphins fire in your head. You'll feel more motivated to get back to the workbench again, and you'll get that motivation to come back and get your project completed. Tip 4, motivation. When working on a project, it's really important to make sure that we are motivating ourselves so that we're looking for that time to get to the workbench. And when we do get the time, that we're actually really using that time as well as we can. And I find that when we're trying to find motivation, you could maybe find a book on the subject. Maybe you're doing a World War II project. Maybe find a book to read or listen to a podcast. Maybe you could even watch a TV series or a movie, something that really captures your imagination about the project you're working on. And what you'll find is that instead of being demotivated because you haven't got much time, you'll be inspired to get back to the workbench, to carry on with that project, and ultimately to get it completed and on the table. And finally, tip 5. Try not to be too hard on yourself. There'll be loads of times when maybe you haven't made it to the workbench for doing some hobby activity. Maybe it's been a long day. Maybe work's been really tough. The kids have been difficult. You've just finished bedtime and you wish you'd been out an hour earlier. 9:30 at night, it's late for parents. Or maybe it's just been a really long day and you don't feel like it. That's okay. To be honest, we don't do our best work when we're tired. So actually, rather than screw up the project and have to start again or redo what we've just done, maybe just take a night off. Maybe take a week off. Make sure that you're motivated and wanting to be there when you get there. And likewise, when you set yourself achievable goals, don't beat yourself up if you don't quite achieve it. Maybe split it in half and achieve half of it, and the other half is the next goal for the next session. Either way, it's all about enjoying the hobby. Try not to beat yourself up because you've made it a chore. So there we have it, my top 5 tips on how to be productive and enjoy the hobby, even if you're too busy. Now, luckily, I've actually managed to get a little bit of time next week where I'm going to be heading off to a war game show to have some me time with my hobby. I'm going to see some friends and I'm going to see some different games that are being put on at the show, and I'm really looking forward to it. And if you're curious what a war game show in the UK looks like, then check out my next video where I'm going to give you a little tour around Colours 2024 and you'll be able to see what a show in the UK is like. So until then, take care, stay safe.